Chapter 4, The Breaking Point. Aiden didn't plan to walk to Elias's office that day. He wasn't supposed to have a session. He wasn't supposed to even leave the house. But everything shattered at breakfast. His mother had found a pamphlet online, some outdated nonsense about corrective behavioral therapy. She held it like a holy text, eyes filled with desperate conviction. Aiden, we think you should try this. It's helped other families. Other families. Other sons. Other people who didn't exist, not in the way she imagined them. Aiden stared at her, speechless. Not because he was surprised, but because he wasn't. His father folded his arms, voice firm. This is your chance to get back on track. To fix things. Aiden felt something inside him snap, a quiet, fragile something that had held him together for years. He didn't argue. Didn't shout. Didn't tell them how cruel those words felt. He simply stood up, walked out the front door, and didn't stop walking. He didn't even realize where he was going until he was standing in front of Elias's office, breathing hard, heart pounding like it was trying to escape his chest. He checked the time. Elias was probably in another session. Aiden didn't care. He needed something. Someone. He needed Elias. Aiden sank onto the bench outside the entrance, burying his hands in his hair. He told himself he would sit there for 5 minutes. Then 10. Then 15. He didn't know how much time passed before he heard the door open. Aiden? That voice. Soft, surprised, worried. Aiden looked up. Elias stood there, a folder in his hand, his expression shifting instantly from confusion to concern. What are you doing here? Elias said gently. We don't have an appointment today. Aiden swallowed hard, shame burning behind his ribs. I know. Did something happen? Aiden opened his mouth, but the words stuck thick, painful, humiliating. He shook his head instead. His chest tightened painfully. Without another question, Elias stepped to the side and motioned inside. Come in. Aiden followed, numb, into the familiar warmth of the office. Elias closed the door quietly behind them. Sit wherever you need to, Elias said. Aiden dropped into his usual chair, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. Elias sat across from him, not too close, not too far. Just present. Aiden, Elias said softly, you're shaking. Aiden hadn't noticed. But now that Elias said it, he felt his hands trembling violently. He pressed them between his knees. Sorry. You have nothing to apologize for. Aiden let out a sharp, humorless breath. You don't even know what happened. I don't need to know to care. The room spun a little. It was ridiculous how much those words meant coming from him. Aiden's voice cracked. My parents. They... He stopped, swallowing hard. They really think I'm sick. Elias's expression tightened, not in judgment, but in pain. I'm sorry, he said quietly. That must have hurt. Aiden shook his head quickly, eyes burning. Elias leaned forward, voice steady and sharp with conviction. Aiden, look at me. Aiden hesitated, then lifted his eyes. You're not sick, Elias said, every word deliberate. You are not broken. And you do not need fixing. Aiden tried to laugh, but it broke apart halfway. Aiden blinked rapidly. His chest felt too tight. He didn't realize he was crying until a tear hit his thumb. He turned his face away, wiping roughly. God, I'm sorry. I don't even cry like this. Elias's voice was quiet. You're allowed to cry here. No, I'm not. Aiden, Elias's tone was gentle but firm. This room is the one place you don't have to pretend. Aiden froze. Something cracked open inside him, a place he buried for years, a place filled with everything he'd never said. He whispered, voice shaking, I'm tired. So tired of being wrong. Elias exhaled sharply, emotion flickering across his face before he could mask it. You're not wrong, he murmured. You've never been wrong. You're just trying to survive in a world that hasn't caught up to you yet. Aiden stared at him. And suddenly, everything felt louder. The air, his heartbeat, the space between them. Aiden wiped his face again, frustrated. I hate feeling like this. I hate that they make me feel like a stranger in my own skin. Elias leaned back slightly, breathing slow, controlled. Aiden, may I ask you something difficult? Aiden slowly nodded. Do you deep down believe what they say about you? Aiden swallowed. I don't want to. That's not what I asked. Aiden's throat tightened painfully. He whispered, barely audible. Sometimes, Elias's eyes softened with sadness, deep, quiet sadness. Aiden, what they say comes from fear. What you feel comes from truth. Fear can be loud, but that doesn't make it right. Aiden let out a shaky exhale. His voice was small, vulnerable. I just want someone to see me without trying to fix me. Elias's breath caught barely, but enough for Aiden to notice. Then Elias said in a voice so gentle it hurt, I see you. Aiden's heart skipped a beat, and for a moment, just a moment, Elias's expression wasn't clinical or professional or distant. It was warm, open, human. Aiden felt the air shift, charged with something fragile and forbidden. The memory of a dream where Elias's voice called his name softly, where Elias touched his hand and slowly closed the distance between them, where their faces was so close to each other. He want to make it real. He want to touch him. He want to kiss him. Aiden suddenly stood up, overwhelmed by feelings. Sorry. I should go. Elias, little bit surprised, rose too, not moving closer to him, but clearly fighting the urge to. You did the right thing by coming, he said quietly. Aiden shook his head. I don't know what I am doing right now. Elias's gaze slid to Aiden's hands, which were placed on his crotch, hitting a little bump. His voice softened to a whisper. It is okay. You're trying to heal. And that's enough. Aiden stepped toward the door, then paused, hand shaking on the handle. He didn't look back when he said it. Thank you. For being the only person who doesn't make me feel like a mistake. He heard Elias inhale sharply, but out of uncertainty, he left before he could hear his answer. This concludes Chapter 4 of Forbidden Therapy. Aiden is no longer hiding behind silence, and Elias is no longer certain where professionalism ends. With trust deepening, and the space between them feeling smaller than ever, what grows in silence is often the hardest to stop. Thank you for listening. If you don't want to miss Chapter 5, make sure to subscribe my channel. See you next time.